need to do after that. Alrighty, we're having some technical difficulties, as everyone is these days, so not a surprise for sure. So welcome. This is Why Weight, the hidden reasons why you can't lose weight. And I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Brooke because she talks about the physical aspects of the hidden reasons, and I talk about the emotional mindset piece of it. And so the two of them combined to help you actually release the weight and keep it off and to get healthy. And so that's why we're here today, is to talk about all of these aspects. And Dr. Brooke, why don't you go ahead and go first and talk about the physical reasons someone might not be able to release weight and they're doing all the right things.
Sure. So in order to really talk about this, I am going to share my story. And I was an athletic person growing up. I was a cheerleader. I was involved in a lot of things. I never felt like I was the weight that I wanted to be, but in reality, I was actually a very healthy weight. So I know that a lot of that goes back to mindset things that, of course, you're going to talk about. And then I went to college and chiropractic college, and then I got pregnant. And I struggled with my weight severely after my daughter was born. And, I just didn't there was so much that I still didn't have awareness of during that time when it came to hormone balance and what causes weight to just not want to come off, or why it balloons up quickly. And then, fast forward about 8 years, 6.5 years, something like that. I gave birth to my second daughter, and then she dealt with some health challenges that I was trying to figure out for like a year and a half. She had severe eczema, and I just knew, gut intuition of a mother, that there was a reason for this eczema. I mean, children don't normally have things like that. And with all of my training, I was like, is it some sort of chemical sensitivity? Is it our laundry detergent? Is it a food sensitivity? Is it something that I'm eating that she's getting through my breast milk? And then when she was a little older, is it something that I'm giving her? And there was no rhyme or reason. Her skin would clear up and then it would flare up with a vengeance like 2 weeks later. I went so far as to purchase a blood food sensitivity kit. And I found someone who was willing to try to do a blood draw on a child that was like less than 18 months old. And I'm not going to say that it was a bad decision, but it didn't turn out the way that I was hoping, because it just traumatized me and it traumatized her. And we didn't get the blood draw done to actually get the answers that I was looking for. All the while, I'm searching for answers for my daughter. I had an enlarged thyroid myself, and yet my labs were all normal. So I was like, well, my labs are normal. I mean, they're, what more can I do?
Right.
And then I saw a picture of myself, and I was like, okay, so yeah, maybe my labs are normal, but there's something wrong. This is not normal. Mm-hmm. And I sought out help from a medical doctor who looks at thyroid from a more holistic perspective. And I ended up being diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Oh my goodness.
So I went on a healing journey That was in 2014. I did not have my thyroid removed. I have the belief that our bodies are designed amazingly and that we are created for health and that we have our organs for a reason. And so if there is dysfunction in our body, I feel like cutting parts out of us isn't going to remedy the problem. So my goal was to support optimal function, and I did a variety of different things. But in the last 7.5 years since that diagnosis, I have struggled on and off with weight and energy, and never really getting answers when I would go to even a holistic medical doctor and get labs done, because my labs were all normal.
All normal.
And so anyway, fast forward to a year ago around this time, I was introduced to a company called Remedy Testing, which is a bioresonance quantum response test that analyzes your hair and the vibrational frequency of you against the vibrational frequencies of everything in our universe. And so I started testing myself. It is a lot. I started testing myself. And with this testing, in addition to getting a whole bunch of information about you and what's going on with your health, we also get specific personalized recommendations for herbs, homeopathic remedies, and supplements that will help bring balance to your body. So I started taking those, and every time I tested, the remedies that would be recommended would change because my body had changed. And in the last year, I've seen great improvements in how I feel, which I am like the biggest supporter of, constantly I tell patients, okay, yes, you're coming in a lot of times because of what you feel, but what you feel is really only 6 to 10% of your nervous system. So really we want to be more focused on function. But at the same time, it's great to feel better, because then that's a sign that, your body is functioning better. And anyway, all that being said, in that past year, I still struggled with my weight. I was eating what I thought was very healthy. And, I didn't do a lot of sugar. I ate lots of veggies and, had a good balance of things, but I still was like nothing was coming off. And then my remedy test results came back that I was sensitive to dairy. And finally, after a few months of battling with that, like trying to minimize it, I finally cut it out completely. And in that time, I have released like 15 pounds.
Wow.
In a very short period of time. Just over 2.5 months, I would say, is like
That's
when
awesome.
It really started to happen. So that's my story, and I'm excited to share more about remedy testing specifically and why it helps you to basically just dig deeper into those hidden causes that could be preventing you from losing weight. So
I'll share that, I just recently took the test. I'm just about finishing up my first phase of remedies that they sent to me. And I like how you put it, that it's that the feeling is not necessarily telling you the function, but it's if you're feeling better, then something in your function must be better. So I'm excited about taking a second round of testing to see what's changed. And as we also know too, that a lot of times things will come up the second or third time that might have not come up the first time, just because your body's going to go, I don't, you deal with this first, and then we'll work with this other stuff. So it is a process, but it is very fascinating that, and I always think I had this intuition, but you may be eating broccoli and it's not good for you, so your body's going to create an inflammation response to that, which is weight gain.
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of how the body works. And and so
one of the things that I have just learned in this process of learning more about remedy testing and the quantum field and all of that is that when you get your report back, if you get tested, there's going to be a ton of information on there. And like myself, my first remedy test, it did not say that I had a dairy sensitivity. And what I've learned is that the result will show up when you are ready to receive it. So remedy testing has actually made a huge shift in just the last month and a half. And so we are actually getting more in addition to the physical. So do you mind if I share my screen and share just a little?
I have to give you permission to do that. Let's see.
Yeah, I made just a little presentation because I think it'll be visually easier for people.
See if you can share. I think I've given you permission to.
It says it's disabled.
It is available or not?
It's not.
I need to go and do. All right, so I just went all participants, so you should be able to share now.
Okay, perfect. If I can, 1 second.
Is it giving you permission now?
It has, yes.
Okay, yay. It's just finding it. I was looking for something the other day on my computer and I'm like, what did I name it, for crying out loud? It shouldn't be this hard. I just saw it. And then you're looking at your past history and it's like, oh, it's not in here. Yeah, I get it. I think we all do. Anyone who works on a computer gets it for sure. It was quite frustrating. As a matter of fact, I had to do some tapping on it because the first thing when I get frustrated, I want is chocolate. So I had to release the frustrations. All right, so go ahead. We see your screen.
Okay, is that working?
Yep, that's working.
Okay, perfect. So one of the things that, we wanted to talk about this is the hidden reasons. And as a chiropractor, for over 100 years, chiropractors have talked about the 3 T's, which are 3 stressors that cause dis-ease and dysfunction in your body. And those 3 T's were thoughts, traumas, and toxins. So obviously the thoughts aspect, you're going to dig deeper into, and the toxins really are a lot of what I'm going to talk about today. But I had a mentor who just recently added a 4th T, and that's tech. And because with remedy testing, we talk so much about the just vibrational frequencies of everything in our world, we live in a very tech heavy world. And even if you shut your TV off half an hour before you go to bed, your body is still being affected by the the frequencies of the technology around you. I highly recommend to anyone, like, really don't have a TV in your bedroom. Don't plug your phone in next to your head when you go to sleep. Those things will actually go a long way to help your health overall, and therefore your weight. But remedy testing is actually a what we call quantum response testing. It's a form of bioenergy testing, which was actually discovered in the 1940s. So it's not a new thing. It's been around for a while, but it's becoming, people are becoming more aware of it because we're just becoming more aware of the energy of our bodies and the energy of things around us. And so we're learning that we can get so much more information when we focus on the whole person instead of just like these tiny parameters of what's going on in your blood. So with remedy testing, it's a super simple process, and we basically collect your hair. We now, thankfully, with the changes that happened in the last month and a half, we're at about a 10 to 14 day turnaround. It used to be like 3 weeks or more, which was frustrating, but now we're at a better turnaround. And then I get to go over your results with you and help guide you in understanding. I think that's probably the greatest thing with this testing, is that you just gain a wealth of understanding about your body. And so even for you, Vickie, the report that you got when we went over your results is different from what I'm going to explain to you today because of all of these new changes. So I'm excited for you to see what the
I can't wait to do it again so I can get a new one.
Exactly. I was excited to do for myself, but obviously remedy testing, we can test everyone. You don't have to be struggling with your health. You can do it just to see like, hey, what's going on? I want to be healthier. Mm-hmm. But for that person who is struggling to release weight, is struggling with fertility issues, is struggling with chronic illness like Lyme disease, liver disease. I'm not going to read all of them, but like for myself, my labs, my typical medical labs were all normal. So there might be a person who's like, I know something is wrong, but I'm basically being told it must all be in my head because my labs are normal. And I can't tell you how many women have been told that. And it's like, listen to your body because your body is telling you something. And that's what I love about remedy testing, because we can like actually learn more information. So the first part of what remedy testing shares is what we call insights. And so it's like the energy that your body has for healing, the energy that your body has for expressing life, the energy that your body has for making change. And it will basically, if you look over on the right of this picture, there's a scale. So on one, the green is normal, and then on one side is high, the other side is low. What I tell people is the reality is whether it's higher or it's low, it doesn't really matter that much. We're not really going to focus on that. What we want to know is it normal or is it not normal? And if it's not normal, then we want to focus on. And then underneath each section, it will share potential causes or connection points that will help you to understand why this is low, or what you can do to influence it and get it back to a normal balance. So like on this, let's see. So the life force was normal. Vital energy for healing on this sample is actually very low. And so it could be because your thyroid gland is underactive, Your metabolism is affecting your chakra 5. And then it suggests that you increase blue in your life. So basically, wear more blue. This will actually help your energy to shift. And then it gives emotional potential reasons for this going on. So having tension, not trusting your intuition, dealing with hearing loss, or having, arthritis, and the emotional piece of having that arthritis is affecting your vital energy. So it's really interesting. It also tells us your level of consciousness, and it's rated from 0 to 1,000. So like in this person, they're 700. That's actually a really good level of consciousness. I've seen one report come back and they were in the 300s, which was actually just pretty like baseline average for our society. So it's not like, oh my gosh, your consciousness is so bad. It was just that's pretty average. And hey, if we want to improve that, here are some things that can help with that. So I think that's the insights page. I'll try and talk faster because I don't want to take up your time, but the next is new. This is chakra balances and imbalances. So again, we're looking at, is it neutral or is it high or low? And then we talk about the ones that are either high or low, are out of balance, and what could be causing. So let's see, yellow, the third chakra, is very high. It could be because of excess lymph in the body, suggested that you decrease using the color orange or red, and then just the physical reasons that could be related to that as well. So
I think what most people don't realize is that everything is energy, everything vibrates.
yes.
And when you're talking about wearing more blue or decrease being around orange or red, that's because there's a vibrational energy that comes off of even colors.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
it can affect you
Everything.
physically, is what this is saying,
Yeah.
if you get around that color too much. That doesn't mean for the rest of your life. That means for right now.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. The next ones are hormone imbalances. And usually what I tell clients when I go over this report, I'm not going to read every hormone on this list and tell you, oh, this is in range or out of range. Our bodies are dynamic. And so when there's dysfunction in your body, your hormones are going to try and balance that out, and it's going to affect their balances. Mm-hmm. And so the goal is not that you need to go out and get hormone injections to correct this. The goal is to give your body what it needs, remove the things that are causing inflammation in your body, which we'll get to in a couple slides. And then your body is self-healing and self-correcting and will balance itself out. So same thing with nutritional imbalances. Again, this is just information. One thing that I do say is, hey, if you're taking a omega-3 supplement, like on this person's, it's low. If you're taking an omega-3 supplement, but it's really super low on your scan, maybe we need to find you a different omega-3 supplement because your body's not absorbing those nutrients appropriately. But again, I tell people, like, we don't need to go out and get every single one that's low on this list and start supplementing there. If it is enough that the test indicates you need to take this supplement, then we do recommend it. But otherwise, we're going to give your body what it needs right now and then allow it to balance itself out. The next section is food intolerances, which is super fun. And again, this is we're getting more information with the upgraded report. So it'll tell you basically 1 out of 100. And green is there's a low response. So what I tell people is you can still have the greens, but you probably shouldn't have it every day, because, and then depending on what the number is, if the number is really high, like close to 60, then you could push yourself into a sensitivity because you're getting too much of it.
Right.
Yellow is what we call medium or moderate. I might be flipping those two, so I apologize. I don't have it in front of me, the actual report. And then orange is, I think it's moderate, and then red is high. And so those ones, if it's yellow, red, or orange, I tell people we really should cut those out of your diet. Now, for example, eggs, this person has some green, but all of the other aspects are telling you to cut out eggs altogether. And then the other thing is that on the food intolerances, if there's no response to a food, it's not going to show up on the list. So there are lots more foods than what will show up on the report. And then you have to know, okay, I can have those things because they don't even show up on the report at all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then we scan for toxins, heavy metals, bacteria, viruses, molds, parasites, and chemicals. And so this list actually doesn't come in the report, so I don't have a picture of it. But what we do get is like, okay, yeah, you've been exposed to, at some point in time in your life, this bacteria or virus or whatever, and that exposure is still impacting how your body is functioning. And then the last thing is that we like I said, get a personalized remedy regimen for you that includes sometimes herbs, sometimes homeopathic, sometimes supplements, or a combination of those three. Like I myself right now, I'm taking all homeopathics. You, I think, had a mixture of a few different things. And in the past, I've had a mixture as well. But the cool thing is that then once you start taking these things, no, this doesn't have to be like a lifelong, you get remedy testing done all the time. But I mean, people go to their medical doctor to get blood work done on an annual basis. So if this is actually helping your body function better, I would think like, hey, let's make this part of a healthy lifestyle. So
I know most physicians now, if you're taking medications, prescriptions, they want you to come back every 3 months. So there you go, another reason for follow-up. That's kind of just their regimen to make sure that you are not having the side effects that those prescriptions have. So why not do this at least once a quarter or a couple of times a year? Just to make sure you're in that space of knowing that your body's healing.
Yeah.
So I've found it very fascinating. And I have, of course, known and been involved with vibrations for a long time. This is one of the first tests I've seen that that's what it's testing, is your vibrational space. Every disease actually has a vibration as well, believe it or not. And so you can, therefore what you're doing is you're adjusting into the different frequencies of help. And that's what's really fascinating about this, and support to do that rather than some of the other options that we have.
Yeah. And with remedy testing, it's hard because I just had screenshots of, some of the reports, but in the different sections, I just realized there was one thing that I forgot, the organ function. And I don't know what happened, but it must have I've had issues when I'm creating this where it like accidentally deleted a page and I must have missed that.
Or
But
skipped a slide. Yeah,
yes.
that's happened.
So, yeah, we also learn about organ function, and again, those physical causes, those chemical causes, or those emotional causes to dysfunction of different organs. And again, usually when I go through a report with someone, I explain to them, we're looking for patterns.
Right.
And a lot of times there will be a pattern in, this person has these emotions that continue to show up throughout different pieces of or they have a different organ dysfunction that then is related to this dysfunction. And so we look for those patterns. I am almost done with a very intense detoxification regimen that was recommended from a scan that I did a couple of months ago. But so I'm right in the middle of it. And then with the new technology, I got scanned again. But I knew I wasn't going to start a regimen until I was done with this one. But it was so interesting because now other people's scans with the new report haven't been as just blatantly clear as mine, but it was like every single dysfunction organ, every single energy that was down was related to excess toxins in my body.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, well, yes, I am taking these homeopathic remedies to release all of that. And so I'm just right in the middle of it. It showed up that strongly, which I thought was very fascinating.
It is fascinating. Yeah. So anybody who's interested in going through this process with Dr. Brooke, we will put in the comments wherever this is posted how to do that. Yeah. And I would really recommend it for people who are healthy. Like you said, it looks at the organ functions as well. And a lot of times the symptoms of what's going wrong doesn't appear until sometimes it's too late. I just had 2 girlfriends pass away with pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow.
And that's one of those cancers that doesn't really show a whole lot of symptoms until it's just about time that it's going to give up. And unfortunately, fortunately, one of them found out actually pretty early. We had a lot of good hope for her. But if she would have had something like this, maybe even a year or so ago, it could have detected that prior to
imbalance.
So she could have taken some action then rather than when she started having some symptoms. So I would do, even just for baseline, like you said, to do it once a year.
Right.
I think it's a great idea. I went and had, in my early 40s, I went and got all the baseline tests done just because I wanted that done. I had a colonoscopy, I had my heart stuff done, and just so I had a baseline. So I knew where I was going from. So I think it's just a wise thing to do. So thanks for sharing all that. And as you said, weight loss might be the reason why you go in there for this. And there's no shame with that. We were looking to find out what is the physical reason behind the weight gain, if there is any, and if there's not, it's going to show that too. And we all know when we're eating a little bit too much of something, too many nuts or too many sweets or too much starches or too much carbs. I mean, everyone can come to me and say, I know what's keeping the weight on and what I need to cut back on. It's whether we choose to do that or not. That's the problem. And as you said, and I relate to this, is when you found out dairy was an issue, it took you a little while to give it up. And I found out dairy was an issue for me years ago, and it literally took me years. And I'm not saying I ate it every day, but at least once every few months, I was having ice cream. I love ice cream. I still love ice cream. And I would have it and I would suffer the consequences of it. And what are the consequences for that? For me, it's headaches. I get really bad headaches from dairy. And then, of course, there's sugar involved, and I get sugar
Right.
dose. So there's
Yeah.
a sugar crash. But yeah, seriously, it took me years to finally say, okay, I've had enough. So I get that whole piece of it. But that's what I help people do, is I help them get over the wanting to change. They get ready to change. Change is hard. It's hard because our brains are set up that way. And it is for our own protection. That is how we have survived as a species. So it's nothing, again, to be ashamed of. That's just the way we are made up chemically and wired. And this, I found this quote today from Jake Ducey. I found very fascinating. It says that our identity is an illusion. It's based on an unconscious response that creates habits that are hardwired through our nervous system and our neurology and wire cells in the brain. So what does that mean? All right, so what that means is your thoughts and your belief systems are a lot of times programmed into you before the age of 6. And that's through our environment. That is through, you know, everybody wants to blame mom. Well, here's your chance. You get to blame mom. And usually she's the person that we're around the most when we're the youngest, but it's not necessarily just her. It's parents, relationship, our relationship to our siblings, a relationship to peers, to teachers, to principals, the policeman, the mailman. I mean, all kinds of relationships that we have, even if it's just a perception. In other words, so it's hearsay. So as a 5-year-old, you might be hearing your grandmother and your aunt talking about how horrible menopause is. Not even something you understand at 5 years old, but then you get to be in menopause and you're like, oh yeah, this is really hard. Well, that was pre-programmed long before you even knew what that was. It was recorded into your database like a computer. So your brain is just like a computer. It picks up all of the information that is input, and then it files it away into your file cabinets in your brain. And these file cabinets can be shut and locked sometimes because it's too dangerous to look at. That happens a lot with my clients who've had inappropriate sexual advances on them when they were younger, or even just some type of someone said something to them that was too painful to uncover. I had one client who came to me because she's going through her second divorce. And fortunately for her, she wasn't overeating or she wasn't over drinking, but what she wanted to take care of it before she could tell she was right on that brink.
Yeah.
And she was very devastated. The first marriage she needed to, he was physically abusive. The second one, she had no clue what this man was really like, and the lies that he had told her, and his kind of fake identity, and he was having affairs. So she was more upset about, why am I picking these type of men? What's wrong with me? And when we started kind of dialing into what was going on, we found out that she had in her brain a file from her brothers. And they used to push her around when she was little, tell her she was ugly and no one would ever love her.
Mm.
That's something that she had locked away. She didn't even associate the two, but what that was doing was determining the type of man that she was dating and marrying. Someone that couldn't love her because she was ugly. She's not ugly. She's a very beautiful woman. But that's how it affected her in her adult life. Same thing happens to us around food and around our emotions. And in my household, I was not entitled to emotions. I didn't even know emotions to call them for a long time. I had to learn as an adult what these different feelings and emotions were by name, because I didn't know what they were. It didn't matter if we were extremely elated about something or if we were extremely sad about something. It was just not a place for emotions. And so that programming, as I got older and then realized that why am I craving, something chocolate? Like I just said, I was frustrated yesterday. So now I know the emotion is, and I was craving chocolate. Well, that's from programming in the past. As a child, even, I overate. I ate to soothe my emotions. It wasn't something someone taught me. I may have learned it from my mom, who was always super sensitive about her weight. don't know. All I know is I was fat, and I was fat my whole life. And of course, I would lose some weight and then bring it back on, and lose some weight, bring it back on. I've done every single diet that everybody's known, although there are a couple new ones lately that I'm like, are you serious? That I've been learning about. But this is all because of programming in our brain. All of this junk really has been put into our brains, and we hold on to it in that file and then bring it out as habit or as thought patterns and beliefs. So your beliefs are just repetitive thoughts. Now, a lot of people come to me, well, I should be able to change this. It's just a habit. And there's some truth to that. And the neuroscientists will tell you that you can change your neuro pathways by just saying no to the thought. So in other words, the frustration of my experience yesterday with my computer, wanting chocolate. And in the past, I did this. I just said no. And that will change the pathway, because if it's not being rewarded with food or whatever your reward is, some people it's sex, some people it's shopping, some people it's gambling. If it's not rewarded, then the pathway will eventually kind of melt away. That's really hard. That's really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And I know, because that's the way I first did this, along with retraining my mind around food. So I did that too, and that made it much easier. So easy that, well, here's what I decided to do some 21 years ago. I decided to do 4 things. One, I knew about the power of the subconscious mind. So I engaged the subconscious mind in a recording that I made for myself. I didn't even have a name for it. I do now, actually give it away for free. It's called Overcome Overeating. I also decided I was going to stop dieting, because dieting was torturous for me. And even though I'd have successive pounds lost, it was still always torturous. And I decided to stop doing that. Besides, I ate fast food every single day, and I didn't want to give it up. So I was not willing to do that. What I was willing to do, though, was the third thing, was to cut my portions. And so I did go into fast food every day, and I would get the junior cheeseburgers or the kids' meals and small fries. And that gave me the same satisfaction that I wanted, and the same feeling of texture that I wanted and taste that I was craving. So when I felt satisfied, then I no longer craved any more food. So I did that. So I stopped dieting. I created the hypnosis recording. I did portion control, and then I stopped judgment. And that's where I did the no. Anytime I heard judgment or criticism to myself, I said no. So those are 4 things that I did. So listen to the recording every night I went to sleep. And I walked into a Wendy's one day intending to order the junior cheeseburger deluxe and a small fry and a Diet Coke. And when she asked me, the cashier asked me what I wanted, I ordered the grilled chicken salad and looked behind me, because I thought someone else had just ordered. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that came out of my mouth. And I'm looking at the picture, I'm like, you know what? That's what I really want. And for the first time, I sat down and enjoyed a salad because I wanted it, not because I had to have it because it was on the diet. It was the only thing I could eat on the diet there. And that was such a sense of freedom for me, and a sense of knowing that this is working. This re-recording or re-recording what's in my brain is working. And so that's one of the things I help my clients with, is their recordings, is to re-record them just like you can on a computer. You're not going to necessarily, even when you wipe out a computer, you don't really wipe it all out. My husband's in computer security, he's in forensic psych, and I can tell you that that is absolutely true. There's still ghosts in there, and that happens to us sometimes too. There's still kind of ghosts in our recording in our brain. And sometimes those take a little more looking at, a little more forensic work, if you want to say, to help you safely identify it so that it can be re-recorded. Remember, your brain and your mind only want to be safe. That's their entire jobs. And if it's not safe, it's hard to look at. So that's how I work with my clients, is through safety. We look at it. I have many techniques, a lot of energy work, like you were talking. So when you're talking about being on different frequencies, so that we explore that as well. I do have some of my clients going to Dr. Brooke, and so that they can get their tests, so then we can start looking at it. And then energetically, we can start doing some techniques to work with that while they're re-recording the brain. And so what I'm offering for you all here is a customized self-hypnosis recording. I have been doing these for several years. I have clients that come back for them once or twice a year because they are getting results. And that's the difference between even my freebie. I'd be glad to give that to you, but I made that for me. And it might not be what you're doing for your program and your help. So I make this for you. And then I check in on you about a month later to see how you're doing with it. It's been amazing for the results that people have been getting with these things. So one person, we were talking about it, and she said she wanted to let go of some weight. I'm like, so what's your habits now? She goes, well, me and the couch are really lovely lovers right now. Because I come home from work and I sit on the couch and I drink a couple glasses of wine and I watch TV or I read, and that's that's my routine, and I just love it. And the couch makes me feel so comfy and so warm. And like, you want to let go of some pounds, right? She's like, yeah. Okay, so what do you think you need to do that? She goes, I need to start exercising. I said, well, what's a good time of the day? She goes, well, you're not going to tell me to get up before work. I have to get up at 5 o'clock to go out for a walk. And if I get up at 5 o'clock, I just think that's ridiculous. I have a friend, and she's going on and on. I have a friend that gets up at 5:30 and she goes for a half-hour walk every morning. And I just think she's insane. And I can't believe it. I would never be able to do that. I'm like, okay, so when's a good time for you to go out and walk before work? All right. So I created this recording to make it safe for her to get up in the morning. And a month later, when I called her back, she's like, I can't even believe this. You're not going to believe this. I'm like, oh yeah, well, try me. Because I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm out walking at 5:30. I'm back home by 6 so I can get a shower and my breakfast and get out the door. And I love it. And I'm letting go of some pounds. So even when she was saying, I won't do that, I'm not going to do it, she did it because we made it safe for her brain and her mind to go, oh yeah, this is kind of interesting. I also made it in such small increments that she could achieve it. And the brain loves to win. So when you win at something, the brain goes, oh, I want more of that. So yeah. Slow, really slow, easy changes in your habits. So we didn't really have her go up and walk 30 minutes the first time around. Her goal was to walk 5. And she's like, well, that's ridiculous. So I'm like, I know. So, but she couldn't walk any more than 10 because we wanted her brain to go, ooh, this is nice. I want more of that. And as you keep adding more increments of time, then she did get up to her 30 minutes. So that's how I work, is to help make all of the results that you're needing to change on Brooke's form so that it's easy for you to do, it's safe for you to do. And that with those two combined, you can get results faster, which is what everybody wants, right? We all want it faster, but you also get it safe. So it's safe for you to make those changes. And it seems like, just like when I walked into the Wendy's and ordered that chicken salad, it seems like it's just what you normally do. Or the client I was just talking about, getting up at 5 o'clock was just what she did. It wasn't a question. It wasn't debated. It wasn't struggled over. It's just what she did. Yeah. And so that's what we can do together. If you're interested in talking to Dr. Brooke, we'll put her contact underneath. Same thing with me about this customized recording for you. I can usually have it done within a week, so you'll get it right away. And I want to thank everyone who will be watching. If you're watching this on Facebook, any of our channels, please put #replay, because it brings it back up in the feed so someone else can share it with someone else. If this is something that, you know, a family member that this was help, and everyone in my family has had these tests so far, not everyone, but almost everyone had these tests so far in my family. So if your family member that this could help, if you've had it, the way that she described it to me, and I love this, is that just like she shared, you would go to the doctor and your tests are normal, but you're like, something's wrong. How come I'm still feeling whatever it might be feeling? This might be where you need to look to help you move past that. Anything else you want to share? Any last tips?
Yeah, just a couple last things. You know, you don't have to be an adult to get tested. I've tested children who, you know, were struggling with some things that the parents couldn't figure out. So it's a great opportunity for you setting your children up for a life of health rather than waiting until they're an adult to be struggling with things. And with all of the great changes that have happened recently with remedy testing, they are doing a Black Friday special now through next Friday, and it's 40% off the complete test, and which is like a huge savings. So I don't know the exact price numbers because I didn't do the math in advance, but yeah, it's 40% off, which is a really great deal. So instead of being like 409 with the kit drop shipped to you, it would be like 260 something. So
Wow, that's awesome.
mhm.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And here's the thing. Neither one of us are going to make you change your dietary habits between now and the first of the year,
Yes.
unless you want to.
Exactly.
So even if you take the test now, you really don't have to do anything drastic if you don't want to.
Right.
It's totally up to you. Totally up to you. So thanks so much for sharing this.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to do these a couple of times now, so I think you'll probably see more of us in the future, which will be fun. But otherwise, thanks again, and have a lovely afternoon, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Let's see.